three main things that you need for this class. The first is the PowerPoint template. The second is a Word file with the text, and the third one is the folder containing the images. These are all available once you register on the Google Classroom site.
Before we get started, let's take a look at these three things.
I've created a PowerPoint template for you to work with. So basically all we have to do is replace elements, text and pictures inside this template. As you can see, each slide of the template is made up of layers. Each element in the slide is in a different layer. And these elements, these components of the slide, have been animated according to a set of instructions. These instructions tell us the order and manner of the animation. I'm telling you this because unless you really know what you're doing, it's best not to mess with these settings. These settings have been designed so that when we run the PowerPoint, it looks like this. And there's another thing. When we click on that Start button there, it'll take us through to the next slide. As you can see, that's the second slide in our presentation.
And we can do that because there's a setting tucked away in the menu bar at the top that allows us to put in a hyperlink, taking us from one slide to a different slide. And again, this is something we don't want to mess with. The second slide has quite a few more elements in it than the first slide, and we don't want to start changing things at that level until we've got a better sense of how this is all put together.
The second thing you need is the text file, which is different for every person, and each one is designed to work with a slightly different version of the PowerPoint template. And finally, there's the file folder, which gives you a selection of different images. If you can't find the image you want, you're welcome to download something from the internet, but please make sure that it's something in the public domain, not under copyright.
So, let's get started. The first thing I'd like you to do is change the name of your PowerPoint. Any name will do. I'll just call mine John. Now let's start editing the template. We'll start by selecting the background picture. We know it's selected because it's got a thin blue line all around it. It's a little bit hard to spot perhaps, so here it is highlighted. Right-click or Control-click if you're using a Mac and select the option to change the picture. You can go into your Images folder and select Background and take a look at the options before choosing one. I think I'll go with Graffiti. So I replace the default picture with the new one. And the only other thing I need to do on this slide really is replace the text marked as #1. So I highlight that bit of text, then I go to the text, highlight the first item and copy it. And then simply paste it in to the PowerPoint. As you can see, the text has changed colour from red to white, so there's a little icon here called Paste Options, which we're going to click on, and I'm going to choose the Keep Text Only option. And hey presto! So now if we play that, it should look something like this.
There is just one more thing I'd like you to do before we move on to the next slide. Go right down to the end of your presentation and you'll find that there's a slide that contains nothing except a green rectangle. This is purely for test purposes. I'd like you to copy that green rectangle, go back up to your first slide and paste it in. Now that is the area that will be included in the final edit when this gets made into a video. Anything outside that area won't go in. You can crop the area if you like, or if you're happy to have those bits outside that area, then just leave it the way it is. I won't show this slide every time, but I'll put a green screen reminder at the end of each slide. And then, when you're ready, just cut the green screen from your slide.
If you're satisfied, I would recommend you to save your presentation at this stage. So let's move on to the second slide.
Before we start, let's just take a look at what we've got on this slide. This is the basic sequence on the template. And this is the text we'll be using, first speaker and second speaker. So the character on the right will be asking the character on the left about his wife's birthday present. We need to adapt the template appropriately and put in that dialogue.
Again, we'll build it up from the back. Click on the background picture to highlight it. Remember, that thin blue line round the edge will confirm that you've done that properly. Right-click or Control-click, depending on whether you're using Windows or Mac. Navigate to your background folder and select something that you think is appropriate. In this case, I'm going to go for the German street scene, I think. And there it is. Now I'm going to replace the left-hand character, and as you can see, when I click, that little thin blue line changes its parameters so it now surrounds the man on the left. But this time I go into the People folder and select a character that I think is going to fit. Ah, Benji. Yes, you're my man. And in he goes. And the same with the character on the right. Highlight her, click to change the picture, find a suitable alternative, and simply put it in.
He's facing the wrong way round, so I just drag him and turn him round the other way. Pop him in there. Now I want to change the text, so I go to the text file and take up the second element and paste it in where it says #2. For adjustments needed here, I need to fiddle around with the text box and the speech bubble so that the one fits properly inside the other. A bit of a fiddly job. It's worth noting that you can change the size of the slide, and that makes it easier to do the fine-tuning here. I can just move it a fraction, like that. Alright, so I'll just make the picture a bit smaller again, and I'll move the mouth part of the speech bubble. And I think I'll move Benji a little bit over to the left there, and then fill in the next speech bubble. So, highlight the text and paste it in. And again, it's a question of doing the fine-tuning, moving things around a bit so that it all fits in. Cut that underscore a bit, it's too long. Modify the speech box and the text bubble until it all starts to feel that it's in the right position. Note that if I want to move them both together, then I place the cursor outside the text box and drag it across, making a rectangular shape that covers both items. Can you see how there are two sets of blue lines now, one for the text box and one for the speech bubble? So now I'm going to pick up both of those and move them, and then move the mouth part of the speech bubble. And if you make a mistake and things all go pear-shaped, don't worry, just go up to that little left curving yellow arrow and click on it until you take the necessary number of steps backwards to get to the point before everything started to go wrong. So now let's insert text fragment number 4. And oops, I'm going to have to take it out again because things are looking a bit weird there. And I'm going to move that right hand little triangle arrow thing and the text box as well over to the right and try again. I'll do a bit of shuffling around as usual to fit things in. That's looking a bit better. And then text box 5 in the same way. Perfect, or maybe perfect. Don't forget to do your green screen test. And it's always worth running it as a presentation to see what it looks like. Yes, that's okay. Click on the Start button. Right? Yes, that's all as it should be. And again, this is a good time to save your work. I'll just make one little adjustment here and put in Benji's name, and then I'm on to the next slide. Before I go there though, I'll just say that if you've kept up with me so far, you're probably going to get through to the end without much trouble. We've already covered most of the important steps. There is something slightly new coming up though. Instead of moving on to slide 3 immediately, I want to go to slide 2, go to it on the left-hand side where the slides are all in sequence, click on it to highlight it, and copy it and simply paste it back in so that we have slide 2 in there twice. Of course, the new slide has all the same animations as the previous slide had, and I want to take those out. I use Control-click or right-click to select them all and delete. Now I go to the next slide and select all. You can see how every item is surrounded by one of those thin blue lines. Now we want to copy that and go back to slide 3 and paste it all in there. So now the only animations on that slide are the ones for the items that we've just pasted in. And then a little bit of fine-tuning, move that arrow a bit, put in Benji's name, #6. I'm just going to make a few last-minute modifications. I'm going to move this yellow bubble a little bit further along. I'm going to highlight those 2 arrows. That's Command-click on a Mac or right-click on Windows. And I'm going to make them slightly transparent so that the text and images behind can be seen. Paste in the text for #7 and #8. And let's take a look at it from the second slide. Yes, that's all looking okay. And click on the hint. And yes, it's all coming up fine. So again, we want to save that now before we move on. First thing I'm going to do is take out that 4th slide. We've copied and pasted it into the 3rd slide and we don't need it anymore. If I make the picture smaller, you'll notice there's an off-screen object in this slide, and let's just go through it and see how that's supposed to look. So the object moves onto the screen just before the second speech bubble. And if we take a look at the text, we can see the items that will be going into this slide, and particularly the 2 that show what's going to go into the speech bubbles. So checking the sequence of the presentation and the dialogue that's going to be in it, that helps me to choose the right kind of background and characters and so on. So I've got a kind of country cottage for the background, and I'm going to put in a little girl for the left-hand character. And for the right-hand character, well, an older man. Then the first text box, and then the speech bubble text. Do all the little adjustments. There we go. And the next one. And the final text box. And then there's this outlier, this object that's off the screen. I found something suitable in the People's Silhouettes folder. A jogging man. There we go. He's the wrong way round, so let me just turn him round. And let's run that slide. Let's see how it all pans out. Okay. Yeah, there are 1 or 2 things I'd like to adjust there. So, first thing I'm going to do is click on Animations, which brings up the little dotted line showing where that silhouette moves. and I'm going to make it move into a slightly different place. It's a little bit tricky, a bit fiddly, so I've made an inset there so that you can see it in a bit more detail. I just grab that little blue ball at the end of it, and then I just move it along and drop it where I want the figure to stop moving. And then the character with the dog, I'd like to move him a little bit and move the mouth part of the speech bubble as well, of course. And there we go. And let's see how that runs. Yes, that's just about right, I think. And so on to slide 6, which looks like this. It's a tricky slide in some ways, but I think we should be all right. And here is the text for that slide. So far, we've been putting the images in first, but I think in this case it's probably better if we put the text in. So here we go. Here's the first one going in, and click Keep Text Only to get the original colour back. And I think we all know how this works by now, so I'm just going to jump ahead to the point where all of those text boxes have been filled in. And the reason I say this slide is a bit tricky is because we need to think carefully about how we're going to illustrate this text. I've put some notes on your text file explaining these shapes, and a truncated oval and a regular oval are indicating different time frames. The time frame I want to cover here, of course, is yesterday. And so, given that, I think I'm just going to use a regular oval. So there's a folder specifically for these items on the 6th slide, and so I'll change the present shape for a regular oval. And the arrow, well, he gave his wife a present. It happened at a particular time. It's not an ongoing thing, so I'll change the arrow to a cross. And adjust the layout a little bit. And the next one in sequence in the top right hand corner is she was surprised, and the character and placing of that don't really fit, so I'm going to have to do some adjusting here. So I'll insert a more suitable character, and then I'll move that character into position. He gave her the present, she was surprised. It seems to make sense to put them together. Move the text as well. And then there's the object on the right-hand side there. The car obviously doesn't suit this situation, so I'll put in something more suitable, and I'll move it. Instead of having it coming in on the lower side of the screen, it can come in on the higher side of the screen, from which I've just moved that character, and which is a bit of an empty space. And a bit of tweaking on the layout of that next phrase. Get the highlight on the key phrase, was able to. So let's take a look and see how it plays. I think I'll make the present a bit bigger, bring up the animation and adjust that a little bit as well. And then that's it, I'm done. It's a bit difficult because you have to exercise your judgment more than on the other slides, but I hope you get on all right. So we're nearly finished here. Just a couple more bits of text to copy and paste into the final frame. Doesn't really need much adjustment at all in this case. It's pretty much okay, I think. Give it a run through. Okay, I'll just make a minor adjustment. Then I'll go and take out that green slide because we don't need it. And and my name's already in there, but put your name in as the person who created this presentation. Okay, so that gives us a PowerPoint that we can actually use in the classroom, so it's something that's immediately useful, but we haven't gone the whole hog yet. I want to move on to making it into a video, laying down a soundtrack, and, of course, adding the interactive H5P content. And then we'll come back to PowerPoint, and you can learn how to make your own template and develop your use of PowerPoint so that you're exploiting its potential to its fullest. And that's all from me.